Yeah, I know I'm late on this. Yeah, I know Tears of the Kingdom's coming out in less than 2 weeks, but I still just want to throw my hat in because there's not a lot of people that actually talk about it. If you even like look at it, I have problems with Breath of the Wild, and I will be comparing it to some games, so there will be major spoilers for Breath of the Wild. I think that's obvious, and then there'll be minor spoilers for the games on screen. But yeah, so my three main problems with Breath of the Wild, and they go into subdivisions after that, would be the story, the lore slash continuity, and the characters. Those are my three main problems. I think the gameplay is very enjoyable. I think the exploration is very enjoyable. I did a second playthrough of it just so I can get footage again, because I didn't have my first playthrough footage because I just wasn't recording at that time. But the second playthrough again was really fun. It really was. Exploration wise, it was really fun. It's just the story, I griped about that a lot. I don't have it on my channel yet because I have to process it, and it's gonna be a pain processing. Like my longest video is like a 9 hour video, so I'm gonna that's gonna be a slight pain, but it will be up on the channel eventually. Not on this channel, but on a different channel. But sorry for that. Sorry for that rambling. But yeah, so let's get into my problems with Breath of the Wild. The first one's obviously the story. Everyone kind of already knows this. The story isn't too compelling compared to other Zelda games. Wind Waker, you're trying to save your sister. Twilight Princess, you're trying to help Minda collect the Twilight Princess and return her back to home. And then for Skyward Sword, you're just trying to save a childhood friend. All of these are still, while they're pretty normal, let's be honest here, they're normal, they're at least either Link's actions or they're at least a bit more compelling than Breath of the Wild's story or main premise. In where you literally wake up with amnesia. So Link isn't even Link in a sense, if you know what I mean. He's not Link himself, and in doing so, an old man tells you, "Hey, go save the kingdom, save Hyrule," or something that I could not do, quote unquote. And even though he was the king, so he couldn't do it anyways. But yeah, and it doesn't work either. I wanna delve more into the character section, but like the story isn't really that compelling because I don't feel like I want to save these people because the game focuses more on exploration for that fact, and because it focuses more on exploration, the characters are very very shallow and the motive is very shallow. Like at the end of the day, there's no reason for Link to do this, Link doesn't need to actually do this, there's nothing really forcing him. Sure, someone's telling you, but he himself doesn't want to do it. While the other Links, one of them, I'm pretty sure, Twilight Princesses, was not by choice, but like you kind of had to anyways, I'm pretty sure, because you were forced to do it. But for Wind Wakers and Skyward Swords, both of them, they wanted to do it. They wanted to save. Skyward Sword wanted to save, his childhood friend Zelda. Wind Waker Link wanted to save his sister, type of ordeal. So it's just like that. Those premises are just better premises in my opinion, story wise. So yeah, very short section for the story. I say that, not really. But now I want to go into the lore and continuity. Lore and continuity, the bit more longer. It's basically stuff where like you expect in a Zelda game, quote unquote, or you expect in a Zelda story. And again, not talk about gameplay. I talk about like a Zelda story or like slash continuity. One of the main things is obviously the Master Sword. It's not needed for the whole playthrough. You can just ignore the Master Sword completely. You never need to grab the Master Sword, which is just so insane in my opinion, because the Master Sword is like the Master Sword in every single game. Every single Zelda game before it, most of them, not all of them, something like 4 Swords doesn't have the Master Sword, but obviously. But like most of the main series Zelda games, you use the Master Sword. That's the thing you use for the most part. But for Breath of the Wild, it's not mandatory at all, and that kind of irks me. Another thing is the Hylian Shield. The Hylian Shield breaks. It was legitimately made by the Thunder God, and it has been said to be unbreakable. And it breaks. I don't care if it has the highest durability in the game. It still breaks. If you are going to just have it break, I'll be real with you. Just don't even have it in the game. Honestly, I know that sounds strange, but like genuinely, I would not have put the Hylian Shield in the game if you were just going to have it break, because that just breaks continuity and lore. You know what I mean? Because like in Skyward Sword, you have to go through a gauntlet to get the Hylian Shield, but you don't go through a gauntlet through Breath of the Wild. You literally just go to Hyrule Castle, defeat a Hinox, and that's it. You get the Hylian Shield, just little. Like, it's not even a challenge at all. So, like, in my opinion, I would just not have added the Hyrule Shield in the game at all. Another point, so that's some of the lore aspects. Another thing that someone else, a friend of mine mentioned, was like there was nothing like Shage-like or Maiden-like. You know what I mean? Like, cause there's usually like Sages or Maidens to like help through your journey, and you can say, oh, that's what the champions were about. But they won't really put too much importance. You know what I mean? Like the champions will put it on importance. I want to get this more in the character section instead of the lore and continuity, but it's different. I don't know. It's the champions are just different from the Sages. You know what I mean? Because the Sages have importance, while the champions were kind of just chosen by the royal family. So it's a bit different. You know, the Sages were chosen by the goddesses, but the champions were just chosen by the royal family. So it's a bit different in my eyes. Another major thing, this is Zelda, and guess what? The Triforce. Do y'all remember the Triforce at all? Because it's not meant. You know, like, I didn't read all of it. I only read most of it. Like, I know there's some diaries that I missed, and there's some like extra dialogue that I missed, but I'm looking purely on the main story. And the Triforce, appearance-wise, has like 2 appearances, both of them from Zelda. You know, using her powers. One for defeating or sealing Ganondorf away, or not even Ganon, sorry, Ganon, in the final cutscene. And the other one is her awakening her powers. And the problem, though, is that it doesn't show which Triforce it is. If you look at the cutscene, the whole Triforce is just, you know, lit up. It's not specific to any of the Triforce, because guess what? Yes, there is a spring of power, spring of wisdom, and spring of courage. The problem, though, is that the springs aren't brought up. Like, one spring has importance, but that's just because you have to like free the dragon. I don't know which one that is. I think that's the spring of courage. I don't know which one it is. I can't be bothered. But it's something like all the other springs don't really have any importance, and they're not, in my opinion, they haven't been shown in game to be connected to the Triforce anyways. Where like you have the Triforce of power, Triforce of courage, and the Triforce of wisdom. But the Triforce is barely mentioned in Breath of the Wild at all, and that's just something that also irks me. Like, how is something like the Triforce not mentioned? You know, it always holds such significance, importance, or at least the Triforce of courage holds significance, because that's what Link always gets. That's the Triforce that he always gets, is the Triforce of courage. But he doesn't need the Triforce of courage. He doesn't get it at all. So that also implies that the goddess just didn't see him as courageous enough to give him the power of courage. You know, not the power of courage, the Triforce of courage, which just seems so strange in my eyes. You know what I mean? It's like, this is the Triforce, and it's just not, you know. brought up at all. So that's those are kind of my main things: the Highland Shield, the Master Sword, the Sages, or something similar to like the Sages, and then obviously the Triforce. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the Triforce. I feel like, I don't know, should have more importance than it should be. I don't know, but maybe it's not. You know, clueless. But that's the section for the lore and continuity. And I know I'm not really comparing a lot of the Zelda games right now, but that's mainly just because I wanna mainly deep delve into the characters. I say that, and yet we're already 10 minutes in, so there's that. But yeah, the characters, quite simply put, most of them are just bland, or the interesting ones are dead, pretty much. So let's just start off with the main one, Link. I don't need to say much more. He has amnesia. He doesn't really have a character, and I get the whole he's a silent protagonist, so yeah, he's not gonna have something. But you can do a lot with silent protagonists. They did a fair amount with, Skyward Sword's Link and Wind Waker's Link. Both of them were also silent links, and I feel like those two have a lot more personality, pretty much, than Breath of the Wild Link. There's a reason why you see in fan art that Breath of the Wild's Link, the most closest he had is just to burn everything down. That's his personality. Just burn everything down. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And then Zelda. I think Zelda's fine. I think they didn't do too much with her, though. She was kind of like, she was a jerk to Link, even though Link was just doing his job beforehand. And then she kind of warms up to Link, but that's kind of a given. And then obviously, Ganon/Ganondorf doesn't have a single line of dialogue, which is just crazy in my opinion. The bigger bad, of this series doesn't have a single line of dialogue. It seems interesting in my opinion, honestly. But those are all the characters we expect. Now then, I would like to ask you this: how many of the characters do you actually remember, not counting the champions? Not a lot, if I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean like the 4 people that help you get on the Divine Beast. Those people aren't memorable in my opinion at all. And the only people you remember Sidon is because you people ship Sidon with Link, and that's basically just it. You people want to F a fish. I don't know what else you want me to say. That's, in my eyes, the only reason why Sidon is as memorable and as popular, because all 4 of them do roughly the same thing, pretty much. Well, Ryuu, Tibet, Sidon, and Yunobo, all of their purpose is just to help you get on the Divine Beast. That's it. They barely tell you anything about their situation or like about the world in general that you can't already infer. Like, yes, Sidon mentioned his sister's dead, but we already knew that. Ryuu mentioned she has like somewhat big shoes to carry. We already know that because Abos is dead. Tibet has nothing to speak on. We've always fought literally nothing. And then Yunobo's part is trying to also barely remembers Daruk at all. Like, he doesn't mention Daruk at all. His story is just being a coward, which is okay, whatever. But yeah, it's just like, in my opinion, the 4 descendants/offsprings are just forgettable compared to the champions, pretty much, compared to their champion counterparts. And it's like, it's so pointless, you know what I mean? They're not memorable, they're just husks, they literally all do the same thing. They're all grateful for Link to, helping them out, calm the beast, but that's it. Like, Sidon's a bit more spunky, Ryuu's a bit more normal, Unibo is more of a coward, and Tibet's just an adult. Like, that's it. You know what I mean? And Tibet's the worst case. Because, like, Unibo, you have to save him, then escort him, which is a bit annoying. Sidon, you get to slightly remember him, because you have to, talk about, oh yeah, someone hated Link because of Mipha's death, and, talk about the Zoro armor and stuff like that. You gotta do that first. And then Ryuu, you have to, defeat the Yiga clan. So those three, even though I don't like Unibos, I really don't like Unibos at all, he still at least does, and you still have to do something beforehand. Tibet's, literally, you basically do nothing. All you do is show Tibet you can shoot 5 targets. And that's it. You go straight to Von Meadow after that, which is just... he's by far the worst case of it. And where, like, he has a few lines of dialogue, he helps you get on the ship, and that's it. You don't need to ever talk to him, see him again, whatsoever. And it's just... why? Especially when the champions just have more memorable and have more depth to them for the most part. Even though they really don't, because they have less than 15 minutes of screen time, you know what I mean? Like, they have like less 15, like, each, basically speaking. Diluc has barely any screen time, Vivali barely has any screen time, Mipha barely has any screen time, and then Bosa barely has any screen time. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I forgot to put this in, like, the story or lore aspect of it, didn't I? Oh, well. No, I was gonna mention how pointless. Whatever. I'm still on the characters part, so whatever. God dang it. No, I'm just gonna mention this now, but it's basically, like, the story is also not that memorable, because half of the most, if not all, the cutscenes are kind of a bit pointless, to say the least. In my eyes, like, the only important cutscenes or, like, flashbacks of Link would be the one where the king tells Zelda to stop playing games. Zelda is in complete despair. Zelda awakens her powers, and then Mipha's, and then Urbosa's. I genuinely think those are the only meaningful memories. I don't think other memories are that memorable. Like, oh, why do we need to know about the silent princesses as an endangered species? Like, how is that important at all? How is it important that Zelda doesn't, quote unquote, Link following her, even though he's just doing his duty, you know what I mean? Oh wait, then the other scene was Link saving Zelda from the Yiga. I think that's somewhat important. But, like, while it's cool seeing that Link was able to, like, defeat hordes of monsters in, like, one of those flashbacks, it's not really needed. It's a pointless flashback. It doesn't help the story, in my opinion, at all. But that's just a slight tangent. Why is my CPU so high? Whatever. That's just a slight tangent. It should have been in the story section, but I just can't be bothered to do that. But no, the champions are definitely more interesting and more entertaining. But the problem, though, is that they're not utilized at all. And even if you do want to try to care for them, they're dead anyways. You know what I mean? Like, I really do like Urbosa and Mipha. I think Urbosa is a very cool character, and they try to make me care for Urbosa, care for all the 4 champions. But, like, why should I care about people who are dead? It seems a bit cool, but that's just how it is. If a character dies, people will just care about that character less, no matter what. People just care about that character less at the end of the day. And I think that Rivali's and Diluc's memories or flashbacks are also pointless, because Diluc doesn't really do anything to teach you more, and then Rivali is just that he's just a dick towards Link. Like, sure, I guess we needed to see it, but it doesn't really do anything in my eye that you couldn't have just slapped on to a different cutscene, or just have him when you like freed the beast, because obviously if you're freeing the beast, Laval just being a jerk to you anyways, so like you could have just inferred that, and then I feel like that memory could have been used something else. But it's something like Mipha's memory is really nice, because it shows that Mipha and Link had a connection. They were childhood friends or something like that, or at least Link was a child and Mipha was whatever age type of ordeal. So it shows that those two will have a strong connection compared to the other three champions that Link has a connection to. The memory show that Mipha had a stronger relationship with Link. So that one is a important flashback, and then it also is an important flashback solely for the fact of it does explain that Zelda is basically envious of Link, or like what Zelda sees in Link. Whenever she looks at Link, she thinks herself as a failure because how much Link has succeeded and whatnot. And that's another important scene, I won't lie. But like, if you have like 5 to 6 maybe important memories out of 18, that's, in my opinion, I don't know. It's not great, you know what I mean? Like, if over half of your cutscenes are irrelevant, it just seems a bit, strange in my opinion. I'm cutting almost already a lot of time into this, but whatever. That's the champions. I don't think I need to talk about the side quests. I think we already know most of the side quests aren't that memorable at all, and even the side quests that are memorable, it's not because of the characters, it's just because of the thing. Like, the only side quest I did in my second playthrough was the Terrytown side quest and the Getting Your House side quest. I didn't do any other side quests, so I can't really speak on that front, to say the least. But yeah, another character they wasn't in a single flashback with Impa. You played Age of Calamity though. Impa is a pretty crucial character, in Age of Calamity. Yet, I get it. She wasn't near Zelda and Link near the Sheikah Slate. Sure, I get that, but like it's still like, I don't know. It just seems a bit strange. You know what I mean? If Link was able to jog his memory when looking at stuff, why did he not jog his memory when looking at like Impa or like something? I get Impa looks old now, significantly older, but like, I don't know, it just seems strange in my opinion. And then this video is already pretty long, but I wanted to talk about it. In my opinion, would be just companions. This is the way I'm gonna get more of the comparison. Pretty much, it's just the companions. I think that companions are kind of an essential, honestly, in my eyes. Especially if you have like a silent protagonist. And don't get me wrong, you can do silent protagonists without companions, but it's not right. So, and I feel like what makes a good companion, is basically a companion that like affects the end game for the most part, or what makes them memorable, like Twilight Princess, what's the most memorable thing? Minda, Skyward Sword, very memorable would be like, Demise, Giraham, and Fee, Wind Waker, Tetra, the Red Lion, those characters are very important, you know what I mean? They're memorable in a sense. While Breath of the Wild characters aren't that memorable. But mainly speaking about companion-wise, I feel like what makes a impactful companion is just their relevancy or how important they are, pretty much. So, so not getting into major spoilers, but something like Minda. Minda affects the end game. Minda affects the ending and whatnot, She's involved in the ending. The Red Lion is involved with the ending. Or that Fee, while not quote unquote involved in the ending, she's the Master Sword, and you do use the Master Sword during the ending and whatnot. So I feel like that's why companions is kind of needed in my eyes. It's just to make the game more memorable because they're like, oh yeah, I remember that. Another good example would be from Code Vein. You have another silent protagonist, but your companion is named Io, and Io also plays a major role in the ending. You know, it's important. And don't get me wrong, I played a different open world game with a like mini companion, that being her Horizon Forbidden West. Sometimes Vol was your companion during some sections of the game, and I didn't particularly like Vol as a companion. The problem, to give Vol some credit though, is that Aloy actually has a voice. Unlike the other characters I've mentioned, which are all silent protagonists, Aloy is not a silent protagonist. She, in all intents and purposes, has a voice. But even then, Vol doesn't affect the end game / ending in where someone else couldn't have just taken his place, basically. You know, Fee, no one could replace her. You know, she played an integral role in the ending. Minda, no one could replace her. She played an integral role in the ending, you know. What are the And then the Red Line, again, plays an integral role in the ending. Io plays an integral role in the ending. And I feel like that's what makes a more memorable companion / just character in general. Because we're always going to remember Link, Zelda, and Ganon. We're always going to remember those people because they're the ones that keep on, coming back and whatnot. So, yeah, and that's another thing. I think the ending was done terribly. This should have been in the story section, but whatever. The ending was done very bad, and that's another thing that I feel like some people tend to forget, that the ending also what makes the game more memorable in my eyes. Like a very fine example would be One Piece. One Piece is an amazing series going on right now. I used to read it weekly, for crying out loud. I kind of slowed down on that, but not looking at that. If the One Piece ending flops or is bad, people are going to remember One Piece as that, even though right now it's doing amazing. Like, it's really good, and it's right now it's really good, and it's been really good. If the ending flops or sucks, that's what people are going to remember more about. So that's why I feel like Breath of the Wild's ending is bad as well, because or puts a sour taste as well, because some people just don't even beat the game. Some people in Breath of the Wild just love the exploration, and that's it. They don't even beat the game, and because they don't even beat the game, they don't know how bad the ending is. But yeah, that's basically my problem / rant on Breath of the Wild. So yeah, bit of a longer video, but hey man, let's see how this turns out. Eat.